Welcome to the WIHS Journal. On today's broadcast, I'll be talking to the president of Life Issues Institute, Brad Mattis. Today's part one of a two-part interview. And we're so grateful to have you on the phone. Your program, Life Issues, which airs here at WIHS at 10:03 p.m. But great to be with you on the phone. So before I start talking about your program and everything, maybe introduce yourself to our listeners and maybe just provide a background on some of your credentials.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yes, as president of Life Issues Institute, we work to provide educational resources to the pro-life movement and the public at large. And, of course, the radio program is one of the more visual ways that we do that. I also was executive producer and host of a weekly TV program that ran for 8 seasons and picked up 3 Emmy Awards for pro-life programming, a first ever. And then we've done research. Recently, we're actually making public some research that we've done on Planned Parenthood targeting minority neighborhoods. So if it's education, we're involved with it, and then we share our resources widely so that people can be equipped to change hearts and minds on abortion.
Absolutely. I love that. So I know that you're here on WIHS. Do you know statistically how many other radio stations air your program?
We're on almost 1,250 across the country. We also are on Sirius Radio and in other countries that beam it on shortwave. And, of course, then there's the online listening that many countries rely upon also. So God has really blessed this effort. We reach 3.6 million listeners a day in America. And so he has given us a podium, if you will, to share information that people just won't hear anyplace else.
So on that topic, let's talk about some of the topics that you do talk about in your program.
Sure. Planned Parenthood has been a topic frequently as of late because Planned Parenthood of Greater New York, it used to be called the Margaret Sanger Health Center. It's an abortion facility. Really had a revolt on their hands with staff who felt and went public with the systemic racism they feel is rampant not only in their state organization but in others and corporate too, which stands to reason because Margaret Sanger, its founder, was an absolute avid racist and eugenicist. Believing that they could make a master race, improve the race if they could just filter out, those so-called undesirables. She called them weeds.
Wow.
And it's just appalling the attitude that they had. And then, but the appalling thing is that attitude continues now through its current program. We did some research that shows that 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities in America are within walking distance of minority neighborhoods, women of color. So we also analyzed the 25 largest counties in America as far as sheer number of abortions done, and about 88% of Planned Parenthoods in these districts are in or near neighborhoods of women of color. It's clearly an effort, a strategy, a marketing plan where they are targeting minorities for abortion.
Wow. It's amazing how you do find these statistics. And I remember hearing some of your programs that you actually do know some of the gruesome things that go on in Planned Parenthood. How do you find out about stuff like that?
Well, I read a lot during the day, and I have various sources from actually all over the world that we monitor and report on. There are some that are just not appropriate for family radio. Some of the depths with which they'll stoop the abortion industry and the vile things that they will do. My weekly blog this week was on, and it will be a radio commentary, was on how the Satanic Temple is promoting a pro-abortion agenda and an abortion ritual,
wow.
which they talk about, and they're doing a fundraiser, and they're offering a free abortion as the grand prize. It's just amazing the decadence of society and just how far it has impacted the fabric of our society. Abortion has been the greatest wound on our nation since slavery.
Absolutely. And I know that, I believe it was this year where they actually implemented now that women have the right up to 9 months that they can actually make a decision to have an abortion.
Oh, absolutely. And, they've been doing that for some time, these liberal states like New York and Illinois and California. But what was a blessing was that a light is being shined on this. God is exposing this for everyone to see. And people would kind of raise their eyebrows and just say, well, you guys are a little too radical. They really don't do this. And the reality is now that millions more learned on social media when the debate was before us this last year of just how cruel their abortion policies are. We are one of 7 countries in the world that allow abortion throughout pregnancy, and sadly, we're in the company of North Korea and China.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. If you're tuning in and wondering about this conversation, I'm talking with Brad Mattis. He is the president of Life Issues Institute, which we air the program here at WIHS. You can catch his 1-minute program at 10:03 p.m. So tell me, how do you find the subjects, to do in your program? And like you said, you mentioned over 1,200 radio stations. How do you get it down to 1 minute? Yeah.
Well, I was a little worried when I took over the program in 2003. How would I find topics for every day, Monday through Friday? And the problem has been to narrow it down because we have so many topics that we could report on that I want to tell our listeners about, but we just don't have enough programs throughout the week to air all that information. Now, as far as boiling it down to a minute, God suited me for this type of programming, because I like to say things briefly, get the point across, and move on. I'm not one of those that like to talk for hours on radio, hosting a program or something. That just doesn't suit me. So I will write a program and get out the points that I want to say, and then I will start cutting things that aren't absolutely necessary. And it's funny how God, leads that process. All glory to Him, of course. And we have been blessed by the Lord. I think He has used this program mightily to educate His children on the horrors and realities of the abortion industry that are taking place in our nation. Absolutely.
So on your program, what would you say right now are the hot button issues that you are dealing with?
Well, certainly the aspects of Planned Parenthood and the racism that we're seeing, the impact of the Supreme Court on the abortion issue. We are dealing with that right now and trying to show Americans that the Supreme Court is absolutely critical to ending legal abortion in America, and how that can be impacted by the Senate and the President that appoints and confirms those justices, and then trying to educate Americans on how they can impact and influence that process.
Once again on the broadcast was the president of Life Issues Institute, Brad Mattis. You can also listen to the program Life Issues Monday through Friday at 10:03 p.m. here on WIHS. For more details about the broadcast, give us a call at 860-346-1049. Today's part 1 of a 2-part interview. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of a staff or management of a station. I'm Anissa Porticelli for the Public Affairs WIHS Journal.